Okay, welcome back and Happy New Year to you. So in this week's video, obviously we're still focusing on knee pain, but I'd like to share with you three of my favorite joint mobility exercises that are gonna help you feel and move better. So every week I speak with probably dozens of people and they all somewhat have a similar story. Have been struggling with chronic knee pain for some time, perhaps years. They've spoken with their doctor, perhaps their orthopedist, and they've been told they have bone-on-bone deterioration. Maybe they have arthritis, osteoarthritis. And what they're told is a solution to their problem is perhaps steroid injections, cortisone, maybe stem cell. Oftentimes, people are recommended surgery, reconstructive surgery, and perhaps even a total knee replacement. So if you're at home watching this, you're probably like, oh my gosh, I'm here at this channel to try to figure out what I can do to avoid surgery. So I applaud your efforts, and that's what you're here for. That's what we're going to try to help you do. So in Western medicine, they have a very mechanical perspective about treating pain. So if you have pain in your knee, they're going to say, well, it must be because there's a problem in your knee joint. You have arthritis, you're bone on bone, you have deterioration. This is why you have pain. However, that is a very old perspective of understanding how the body works. And what we know now is that pain always comes from your brain, and it's just a response when your brain and your nervous system feels like it's not getting what it needs and it needs to try to protect you, right? Pain is a protective mechanism, and your brain and your nervous system send that out when it wants to try to communicate with you that there's a problem. And that problem may not be where you're experiencing the problem, right? Sometimes it can be a little confusing for your body. But pain is just an effort for your brain to try to slow you down and protect you. So when you're going into the doctor's office, they're recommending all these things that you've likely tried and have yet to find results. And that's because it's addressing the symptoms and not the root of your problem. So today we're going to be working, and I'm going to demonstrate three different mobility exercises, none of which actually touch your knee at all, and which is a really cool part. But it's going to show you the impact of moving the right joints in your body, how they can have a big impact on what you're feeling in your knee. So one of the common mistakes that people make when they're trying to figure out what's going on with their knee and address their pain and stiffness is they focus too much on where they're experiencing pain, right? And it's a little bit counterintuitive, and I understand that when I first started this work, I also was very kind of mechanically inclined. Well, I have pain here, so I must have a problem here. But your body works a lot different than what you've been told. And so what I want you to think is that if you tried to do all these things, maybe massage, maybe strength training, maybe physical therapy, injections, specifically around your knee, and you don't feel better, it's because there's a problem going on somewhere else in your body, right? So what's a favorite famous Albert Einstein quote, right? If you keep doing the same thing that's not working, there's a problem, right? So I want to show you a different method that you probably haven't thought of, haven't been exposed to, that could probably give you some really good immediate relief. So I want you to think of your body as a structure, right? You've got your ground floor, right? And then what happens on the first, second, third, fourth floor, etc., obviously depends on the integrity of the ground level, right? So just like a house, you want to have a good foundation, right? So if you think of your knee joint, what's the joint below your knee? The big joint, right? It's your ankle. So, and what's the joint above your ankle? It's your hip. So those are two of the joints that we're going to be focusing on today to provide really good mobility, right? So your skeletal system can move as it was designed to. Because oftentimes people have pain because their bones aren't moving correctly, right? You have a stiff joint, you haven't moved your ankle, you haven't moved your hip, you haven't moved these other joints in your body, and there has to be a compensation somewhere else, right? So just because you're having knee pain and maybe you've been diagnosed with arthritis, the real problem could be that you lack mobility in your ankle, all the joints in your foot and ankle, and you lack mobility in your hip. And we're going to work on another unique joint elsewhere or later in the video, but we're just going to focus on those two joints for now. So I want you to think again, a structure, right? First floor, your foot and ankle. Second floor, the problem knee, right, which we're going to skip. And third floor, your hip. So we're going to mobilize the ankle to help provide better movement in the knee. We're going to mobilize the hip to provide better movement in the knee as well, right? So if we could get those two joints working below and above the knee, your knee is probably going to feel better itself. Okay, so before you do the exercises and follow along with my coaching routine, what I want you to do is check in to see how you're feeling, right? So one of the problems with the typical approach, we'll say, is that they prescribe or give you exercises without knowing exactly, is this going to help you, right? So what do I mean by that? Everyone's body is essentially designed the same. Obviously, we have a couple outlying factors here and there, but everyone's body, your nervous system, your skeletal system, et cetera, is designed the same. But when you're 50 years old, 75 years old, you have different experiences, right? Maybe you're skiing, maybe you like to hike, maybe you have arthritis that runs within your family. Maybe you, when you were skiing last, you tripped and fell, right, down the slopes, you had a big yard sale, whatever it may be, and you really damaged your knee, right? What may help someone who has arthritis within their family history and they've lived with that for a long time, problem joints, can be really different than what's going to help the person who has a acute injury, right, and has been struggling with that. But the only way we know what's specifically going to help you feel and move better is you have to test the exercise. So what do I mean by that? So I want you to check in to see check in with your body to see how you're feeling. So how do you do that? A couple different ways. First way you can think about it is a pain scale. Pain 1 out of a 10, 10 being high, like, oh my gosh, this is terrible, I'm turning the video off, going to the hospital. 1 being amazing, you're ready to start skiing again or run a marathon. Where are you at the moment? So you could check that by walking. So how do I feel? Is my knee really stiff? Is my pain maybe a 7 out of a 10, really high, right? Maybe I try to bend down, do a few squats, and I can't even do that, right? I've got a really sharp pain. Maybe I have an achy sensation, right? You could bend down, touch your toes, move your knee around. Essentially, it's just any way that you can check in with your body to see how you're currently feeling. And then I'm going to coach you through these exercises, and you're going to go back to the same protocol, the same assessments, the same tests, and look for an improvement. Occasionally, you may feel worse, and that's okay. Obviously, we want you to be better, and I'm choosing the exercises that are most likely going to help you do that. But occasionally, you're going to have an adverse reaction, and you need to know that in order to avoid that for now and choose the exercises that help you feel and move the best. All right, so the first exercise we're going to work on today is called an ankle circle. So I want you to think, figure out what knee is giving you the most trouble. I'm going to demonstrate my left ankle. So this is assuming that you have a left knee problem. If you have problems on both knees, you would work both ankles. If you have a problem on your right knee, you'd obviously focus on the right ankle for now. So we're going to work on an exercise called an ankle circle. So very simple. We're going to move your foot and ankle in a clockwise and a counterclockwise direction. And we're going to do that with a little bit of load. And what I mean by load is essentially more resistance, just so your brain and your nervous system can pay more attention to the exercise. It's a little bit harder, a little bit more stimulating, and therefore you could probably get a better benefit from it. But if you're really stiff, or for whatever reason using an exercise band like this, maybe you don't have one, it's not accessible, or you feel more comfortable doing without it, that's fine. You just start where you feel comfortable. So I'm going to take this band, right? You could use whatever you like. Using a long one is easier for this particular exercise. I'm going to step out with my heel, and I'm going to make a loop, right? I go down, use my thumb, and then I'm going to wrap around. See how that works? Kind of do this little lasso, one and then the other. So now you kind of have like the range, right? The harder you pull, the more resistance you get, right? So for me, this isn't much resistance at all. I'm used to using a much thicker band. but maybe at home, this is all you have. Or if not, you're welcome to use what you have, right? Make it more challenging. So the goal of this exercise is to provide as much mobility and movement within your ankle as possible, right? If you watch me, what I'm going to do is draw a clockwise circle like such. And one of the common mistakes that people make is that they move their entire leg while they're trying to mobilize their foot, right? So we don't want to do that. We want your shin pretty stable, right? Not moving. Same thing with your leg in total. We want to focus on mobilizing the foot and ankle. So again, watch me. Start up. I go in and down. I work around, and then I curl all the way back up. So I want you to pay attention to how your foot and ankle moves. I want you to try to get as much movement as possible within your ankle. Pay attention to where you feel like your movement is a little restricted. Maybe you feel a little bit of pain. Maybe you feel a little bit of tension, right? Or that you lack movement in one particular area. To start with, I want you to try to do about 10 circles clockwise and 10 circles counterclockwise. So for me, going counterclockwise feels a little bit better at the moment. Again, remember, you can kind of dictate and control how much tension you have in the ankle. Make sure you're getting a full range of motion, right? The more mobility we get in your ankle, the better your knee is going to feel. Just remember to have a tall spine. Try not to hunch over. Remember to breathe. And usually I tell people just to go nice and slow, just to kind of develop that coordination and that movement skill to start with, and then you can advance as you get a little bit more comfortable with the movement. So ankle circles, clockwise, counterclockwise. Try to do 10 reps each direction. Use a resistance band to get a little bit more load and more benefit from the movement. Okay, so after the first exercise, ankle circle, I want you to reassess, right? Stand back up, walk around, do a few squats, touch your toes, go up and down a few stairs, check in with your body and see if your knees are feeling better than they did right before you did this exercise. Okay, so now that we worked your ankle, we're going to skip the knee and go on towards the hip. So this is a little bit more involved joint mobility exercise for the left hip, but usually when I coach people with it, or through it, it helps them a lot. So I want you to give it a try. So you're going to need something to hold on with your right side, preferably, to provide you with a little bit of balance and stability to help you move this left hip. So since we're going to be lifting your left leg, you may notice that there's more demand on your right side. Maybe it gets a little bit tight and you can just shake it out and that's fine. But the right side is going to have to work to hold and support you while we move that left leg. Just to have you, just so you're able to know that in advance. So what you're going to be doing, supporting on the right side, I want you to lift that left leg, flex your left foot, not pointed down, but pointed up. You're going to externally rotate that leg, go back behind you, go in towards the right thigh, and then back up. So my hips are a little bit tight. Maybe you have more mobility, which is great, but you're trying to get as much range of motion in that hip as possible. So again, you're starting in this neutral stance. You're raising your leg. This is called hip flexion. You're flexing the foot. You're going around your body without moving your hips and your whole body. Again, just focusing on the hip, going around, going back behind you, right? Knee is going behind this hip. Feel my butt working, going in towards the right thigh and back forward. So up, out, around, back, and circle forward. So maybe for this exercise, you could try 5 to 7 circles each direction. And as I'm doing this, I could feel my right ankle really working to try to keep me stable. And all the muscles around your left hip also are really working through this range of motion. So that's clockwise. Now I'm going to move positions just so you can see me a little bit different. We're going to do counterclockwise. So here I am. I'm going to go forward, back, out, up, and around. Forward, back, out, and around. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do 2 more. 6, last one. 7. Okay, shake it off. So that's a demanding exercise. There's a lot of different ways to move your hip joint, but that's one kind of relatively unique exercise that you most likely have not tried before, but I want you to give it a shot. So again, we focused on mobilizing the ankle with ankle circles, clockwise, counterclockwise, moving the joint, the limb in both directions. We skipped the problem knee, not trying to focus on that, trying to give your nervous system a break so we don't trigger more of that sensation of pain. We went to the joint above the knee, the hip, right? Mobilize that joint clockwise, counterclockwise, right? Working the muscles as well while we're doing that movement. So think problem knee, mobilizing the ankle below, mobilizing the hip above, both joints. The looser they are, the more in control you are of those areas of your body, the better your limb, right? And those bones are going to move, allowing kind of more proper movement as you were designed within that knee joint. When you have mobile joints, your brain feels that, aha, I'm in control of that area of my body. The reason why your brain knows that you're in control of that area of your body is because when you move your joints, you're stimulating little receptors that live within that joint called proprioceptors. And when those receptors are stimulated, your nervous system and your brain are a little bit more connected than they were previously, right? The more confident your brain is about your joints, whether it's your ankle, your knee, or your hip, the less reason it has to send out pain signals to try to protect you, right? When your brain's confident, it feels capable. When your brain lacks confidence, it feels like it needs to protect you. And a good way of doing that is sending out pain, right? So today we worked on mobilizing the ankle, mobilizing the hip, first floor, third floor, and now we're going to work on a totally different joint, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. Okay, so now after you move your hip, I want you to go and reassess. Go for a walk. Move up and down a flight of stairs or a couple of stairs. Bend down, try to touch your toes. Do a few squats. And pay attention to how is your knee feeling now, right? We worked the ankle, then we reassessed. We worked your hip, and now I want you to reassess again. Figure out which joint lacks mobility and gives your knee the most relief. Okay, so now my third and favorite, most unique joint mobility exercise that provides oftentimes really great, tremendous relief for that knee has nothing to do with that leg at all. It's on the total opposite side of your body, and it's your elbow. So today I'm going to be mobilizing and showing you how to move your right elbow to provide relief for your left knee pain. If you have right knee pain, you're going to be learning how to mobilize your left elbow. Usually when I do assessments with people, this is one of my first exercises that I show them to work on, and it like 8 out of 10 times it provides really amazing relief. And obviously the initial reaction everyone has is, wow, this is like magic, which is where my little tag name came from, right? The knee pain magician. So when you understand how the nervous system works, you can get really good results a lot faster than most traditional approaches. And why this exercise works is because what happens on the other side of your body impacts what happens on the other side of your body. So if you have a problem on the left side of your body, whether that's your left elbow or your left knee, moving the joints along the right side of your body can help with that problem area. So we're focusing on your left knee today, and so we're going to be working on improving mobility within your right elbow. These joints are connected neurologically, right? So if you've been focusing on just that knee, working that knee, doing acupuncture, doing cortisone shots, working with physical therapy, strengthening the muscles around the knee, but haven't gotten any lasting results, right? Maybe your pain is still at 8 out of the 10 where it should be a 2 or below. Try this exercise instead. So what you're going to do is stand up nice and tall, preferably. You're going to extend your left leg forward, put your right arm out in front of you. I want you to imagine that your elbow is pointing towards me, right? And so all you're going to be doing is bending your forearm, taking your palm and going underneath your chin, rotating beyond your shoulder and extending all the way out. Palm down, bending your elbow, going underneath your chin, rotating beyond your shoulder and extending all the way back out. It's important to get full extension because that means you're taking your joint through a full range of motion. So lock the elbow out, palm down, rotate underneath, back out, and extend forward. Palm down, underneath, back out, and extend forward. This part of the movement where you're getting that torque, right? You're taking your forearm through kind of a full range of motion. You can't rotate any further. Go as far as you can before you extend back out. So this is one direction elbow circle, right? One thing to pay attention to, if for whatever reason you have a problem in your arm, moving your shoulder in this position hurts, find another angle where you can do the movement that doesn't cause your shoulder so much pain or discomfort, right? Okay, shake it off. That's one direction. Now we're going to work on the other direction. So again, standing up, preferably left leg forward since we're working on the right arm out. Now you're going to do palm up. I want you to imagine you are serving a plate of food. You've got a plate on your palm. You're coming around your shoulder. Notice how my elbow is still facing forward, right? Pointing towards you. Once I get that plate to my shoulder, I'm going to dump the plate. Palm comes underneath my chin and I rotate forward. Palm up, move around without moving my arm, right? Just my forearm. Palm down, circle forward. So we're trying to get as much isolated movement within that elbow joint as possible. The better your elbow moves, the more mobility and activation you have within that joint, the more instant relief you're going to find in that knee pain, reducing the pain, reducing the stiffness and tension in the opposing knee joint. So I'm obviously not counting, I'm kind of coaching you through this exercise. Usually when I have people do it, depending on what they have going on, try to do about 10 circles each direction. So again, I'm here, one direction, and then I'm going the opposite direction. You could do palm up, right? Or you can make a fist, try to create more tension within the muscles of your arm, but focus on really mobilizing that joint and getting good control of the movement. That's called an elbow circle. Now, after you've done opposing elbow circle, I want you to go for your third and final walk. Move your body, go up and down a few stairs, do a few squats, touch your toes, move and bend that knee, right? And pay attention, how do you feel now? At the beginning of this video, I had you think about what your pain and stiffness was on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being terrible, I'm going to shut this off and go to the emergency room. 1 being, hey, amazing, why am I even here? Right? What was your level then? Think about what's your level now. Oftentimes, going through 1 or 3 of these exercises, you can see a drastic reduction in pain. I've worked with people even on Zoom demonstrating some of these exercises. One lady I remember distinctly, her pain was an 8 out of 10. She's had chronic knee pain for years. She's tried XYZ and everything else under the sun. No relief. I showed her 1 or 2 of these exercises. Her pain within 10 minutes went from an 8 down to like a 2, right? It was pretty amazing stuff. The thing is, it's not really a sophisticated exercise. You're just moving your ankle. You're just moving your hip. You're working on your elbow on the opposite side of your body. The reason why it works is because it's giving your brain and your nervous system what it needs. The more reassurance your brain has about your body, the better your joints move, the better your brain feels connected to your body, the less pain and stiffness you're going to have. So hopefully you found this video helpful. If so, please like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out a lot. And if you're someone who's been struggling with chronic pain for some time and you need more help, I have a couple different resources for you. I would like to direct you to a free training I have, a webinar that coaches you through this method, this perspective, how it works, why it works, and how people have been able to get amazing relief. There's a link to that video below in my channel. In addition to that, coming up pretty soon, I'm going to have a free 5-day challenge. That's right, totally free. It's a 1-week commitment. Every day I'm going to be working with you directly, coaching you one-on-one through Zoom and showing you how this approach works. We're going to be working on moving your body, mobilizing your joints. I'm going to teach you how to improve your vision, improve your balance. And by the end of this week, you're going to understand how your body works neurologically. Totally different perspective, totally different understanding and approach than what you've probably tried before. And by the end of the week, even at the first day, you should feel a noticeable change in your pain, noticeable reduction in your stiffness, and be able to feel and move better. So thanks again for watching my video. Let me know how this helped you. Comment below, and I look forward to speaking with you soon, hopefully seeing you in the free challenge. Have a good one.